between becoming a big small finance bank, a small big bank like Universal Bank, okay, becoming big in some particular area, becoming big in financial institution, becoming big in SME. Whereas because you have to say there's multiple sectors, you can become big in multiple sectors. Having said that, there are also some of the constraints which I was seeing a bit about they are emerging. So, one area of concern, because of what I saw in the data that was available, is that there is a relatively larger proportion of PSOs. I think it's 80 or 86. Among within PSL, so that's rather PSL, PS1, 2 to 86. Similarly, there's an increase, understandably of frauds as well. That's something that fraud finance management. But I think they are working in the same ecosystem. As I said, they really have performed. As I would say, as someone who was part of the original set of people lab prices.
दोनों उधर किसी बैग में होगा नीचे नीचे वहीं रखा था लाल वाला बैग में देखिए
What do you think have small finance banks in terms of what at least when you apply for a regular form, right? Somebody applies for a license. What do you think you want? Good.
Thank you, sir. And as you mentioned that you are the Janak of small finance bank, the whole licensing guidelines were drafted by you, circulated by you, and you also taught us how to run as a bank from NBFC. So we are grateful to you. During that period, I think a lot of things were done for SME space, for payment bank space. Sir, I think the way things have happened in the last now almost 7 years, there are two SMEs which got commenced the operation in 2016, and the rest of most of them came in 2017. I'm talking the first set of 10 SMEs. The way we see that the core objective was that we will focus more on financial inclusion, and my sense is that is happening across. I mean, we can debate that whether it's 100% or 90%, but generally in terms of direction, it is happening for sure. So, for example, for us also our microfinance portfolio and the other financial inclusion like affordable housing or emergency sector, I think they are the focus area for all of us. And so from that perspective, yes, we have done well. The other expectation from RBI was that we will, as a regulated entity, we will do good in terms of compliance, in terms of governance, in terms of control function, and the biggest part of technology. I think all SMEs have really done well in that part also. And still, in spite of having a national character, I think each one having some regional or some product level character. So we might be expert of say microfinance, some people might be expert of business loan, which is again for financial inclusion. So we may not be having 20, 30 products with us, but whatever 2, 3, 4 products we are running with, I think we are doing well there. So broadly speaking, whatever is expected from by RBI, one in terms of business, second making the financial inclusion as a business, and all are good and sustainable entities, and they are making reasonable returns also. And now 6 are already listed on stock exchanges, and the performance on stock is also good. So that's really important because if you require capital on a sustained basis, so you need to perform better on the stock exchange also. So I think all around they have done good, and my sense is going forward also this trajectory will continue. The obvious question that what is big for us, I think first and foremost, big for everyone will be the core product, core line of business, what we are doing, and we will continue to do that part. So, for example, if we microfinance our own business, what we used to there, today we might be around say 62%. But that will again be one of the largest vertical in terms of lending side. As a bank, we are expecting to have more and more new products also, diversification of our geography and product that is expected by RBI, by regulator. But certainly the main sale of us will revolve in microfinance. Similarly, the geography which we have been covering, we are mostly UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, that area. We are the only scheduled commercial bank. Headquarters is in these 6 states, other than the side, Noida. We are the only scheduled commercial bank, and we have a large footprint there. So we continue with that area, and that is what again RBI expects us to do. So that there is a business model which has actually worked very well. All are profitable, all are sustainable and scalable. And last point what you mentioned, sir, is very important that we are also able to generate adequate liability to meet the requirements. I think almost everyone has, our CV has come down to below 100% now during this period. And normally for all banks in past also, in large universal banks also, they have taken that much time to reach this level. So I think on liability front also we have done well. So certainly, I mean, we can talk about what is big for us, what is large for us, we can talk about that part. But I think generally, whatever is expected from us, we have done reasonably well on all parameters.
Say, bank anywhere or any kind of small finance bank in particular, relate to this opportunity area like.
Yeah, certainly we are aware that Northeast is full of areas as far as population. So, to make a small finance bank or to make financial inclusion profitably, financial inclusion being done there, it's actually difficult. But still, we tried our best to do well amongst that geography itself. And the moment we became a small finance bank, we became a bank in 2017. We were just one, maybe the last one to get the bank license. But anyway, we became a bank in the year 2017, and then in 2019 CABCA, all those institutions have started in Assam. So it is becoming a peculiar geography. So all the institutions and everything, we have to stabilize amongst that. Thereafter, again, of course, microfinance being has come. COVID, of course, was a major deterrent. It's a different matter altogether. But what I wanted to tell you here is that when you walk in a particular geography, which a particular sort of hill states and a particular sort of population having this the majority of the segments, then ultimately it carries a political as well as a legal risk. Politically, all of you are aware, but how the microfinance bill has happened, how CABCA has affected it, and as legal risk, because it's a military, because most of the lands and roads are being sort of cultivated for years and not modified. So to help the small and marginal farmers is extremely difficult for a bank to give the loan to them because in the absence of the legal documents available here. So all put together, though we are trying to make ourselves viable with those limited sort of within those limitations, and we of course have become partially viable sort of. I can say that yes, we have become exceptionally well, but yes, we see digital sort of setup coming in now with new merger digital happening. We hope that we will be able to make the same mark as the other SMEs.
It's up to you. What's your experience?
Good afternoon. The question of why small finance bank license was important for Ujjivan was because we felt that we needed to give our customer base a full range of banking services as part of financial inclusion. So that was our objective when we applied for the license. I'm happy to say that in the 6.5 years that we have been around, we have been able to meet those objectives as much as possible, and there's more to be done. Having said that, as a group of banks, Mr. Vishwanathan asking what we experience. I think if you look at us as a group of 10, we survived demonetization, we have survived 2 years of COVID, and we have come out intact on the other side at this moment. The fact that some of the small finance banks are listing on the stock exchange is evidence and confirmation about the viability of this model. So it is a good model. Secondly, what has happened is also the fact that the growth has taken place. Now, if you look at the size of the banks, some of us, the small finance banks, are bigger in assets and deposits than some of the small private banks. And if you look down the list, the top three are ahead of some of the smaller banks, if you look at the names. And therefore, small or universal, at this stage, that differential is disappearing. So I think, after 7 years, we have reached the stage when we are entering phase 2 as a group. And I think that is what is going to make this interesting. We have survived the tough times. And going forward, can this model be made more practical? Can this model be made more financially inclusive based on where we are today than where we were 6-7 years ago? I think that is now the question that now we have become 12, all 12 of us ask each other every time we meet. And there are various things which are there in the licensing which can be looked at, and I think we will come to that a little later. So all I want to say today is that this is a very good model. It has done well, and financial inclusion is thriving today as a result of this. We are punching above our weight. If you look at, we are still, as a group, we are still very small if you look at the deposits and assets. But we have, between 2020 and 23, in less than 3 years, we have doubled our share in the market. Still below 1%, but we have doubled, much more than even the private banks have grown. And there's been a reduction from the public sector and others. So this is the way of punching above the weight and moving forward as a way to grow, and we can continue to grow. There is potential, but the rules of the game need to be looked at, because when we started, it was a proof of concept. It was a new concept that was put into place, and we were the first to start. So 6-7 years down the road, looking at this can make a difference, and reviewing it and trying to make a few adjustments can be effective.
Thank you. So I'll come to the two people who have asked questions. I asked you the question that I said differentiated you from the rest of the panel, is that you are an NTS, you have possibly applied for a small finance bank license. Are you happy you didn't? Are you happy where you are? Do you think you would have been better off being a small finance bank? For both?
Thank you, sir. When 2014, when this small bank and payment bank license came up, I think it was a trust factor of RBI to give a license to the place to become bank. I think SMEs have actually showcased the decision made by RBI, and the licensing was really difficult. If you look at from 15 to here, I think CAGR growth of SMEs are close to 40%. Yes, it's amazing business. So for me, both are very good business. Very good business, and SME also very good business. To become an SME, it needs to make a good business SME. It needs time and volume. As far as I think the time is part. I think that is what one part is. Probably volume is still need to catch up with that. The moment they become big, probably there will be right returns to the stakeholders also. I think at that point of time, we always believe that there are enormous opportunities, which is a big highway. In fact, the road is still big highway. We are doing great job in terms of rural microfinance, and we believe that we can continue this for some more years and without any difficulties, which exactly we proved that point also. We are able to do that. Therefore, no regrets for not becoming a SME, or happy that we have not taken that route at that point of time. Maybe future sometime when we see the opportunity that the entire rural is covered, or financial inclusion is done. At that time, probably we can change our decision if needed. But but at this point of time, we still believe that there is enormous opportunity. And we were quite happy with our decision for not having gone that route and staying in this route. And probably that we moved the point that microfinance can be done very well, very responsibly, and rural inclusion can be done. There is still a huge opportunity. If you look at the opportunity point of view, still probably 80-90 million of low-income households yet to access the credit. And we are still in the phase of access to credit. Probably we need to move from access to credit to educated credit, which is still not there. Currently, it is not there. If so, because still rural credit to the rural is still 12%, as against GDP of about 46%. That clearly shows that access to credit is still not sufficient, or educated credit is still not sufficient. So therefore, both are good business. Both are will go on. I think most of the SMEs will become bigger bank because there is no restriction for them to do any business. There is huge opportunity for SMEs to do more business, while microfinance may be restricted to certain business, the SMEs still have an opportunity to do more business.
So, that would be your investment in the banks, which are 5 million banks. So, what, as an investor, what keeps you interested in the organized ecosystem? What they can do, what they are able to do, what they can do. What keeps you interested as an investor?
So I think first of all, so we were investors in 4 microfinance companies that transitioned into small finance banks. If you think back to that time, there was one of the views in the market is that NBFCs can't operate as banks. So in the first instance, the transition itself that on the SMEs achieved launched operations as banks and the high quality operations that they launched. I think that itself is a big vote of confidence to the teams and the people managing the overall business. So that gave us a lot of confidence because as investors, you obviously realize that you're going to take the whole year in terms of the profitability ratios. But you believe in the longer vision for why SFB should be set up and that being the right path for microfinance. And I think that's what continues to keep us interested because businesses have demonstrated their resilience, like Indus said, both moving on and then global and some of the companies have gone through the crisis and cost. Their holdover at end customer was uniquely served by these institutions. And their ability to ultimately as a financial investor, their ability to demonstrate by way of raising money. Invested in these companies in the first instance were really young organizations. Now, most of them being listed on the stock exchange. It's a huge boost and a vote of confidence, not just from private investors, but investors
What do you mean by ambition? I'm curious with a big ambition.
Thanks, sir. I think I keep saying that banking may, you have to become big because the way the whole design is there. Small is not relevant, except this factor of life, and that is going to be there for all time to come. And banks, it takes some decades and centuries to reach that level. So I think in banking, you don't have the option of remaining small, and we know that those banks will not grow; they become marginalized over a period of time. So maybe the way entire ecosystem, right from regulation, everything is done. There is only one way out. That all should become universal bank. For me personally, big means going to more and more number of clients, financial inclusion, not only about the lending part, but about the third-party products part, the investment part, and liabilities part also. Like in the holistic product give for our customer base. That is what is more relevant for us. reaching out to the interior of the country. Still, we think that banking is all about Bombay, Delhi, but you go to the interior of Bihar, you know that still a lot of financial explosions there, a lot of businesses there, not even MFIs are leading so far. There's a lot of things to be done, so that is actually becoming big, going more and more customers, delivering their financial inclusion products to all these people. But the way, right from regulator and from the way market looks at even the way the rating is, they will say you are not diversified enough. You do not have the secure enough impact, that is what happens. And then there is a lot of pressure with the listing part. You should list in such and such period. In fact, we have gone through the pain of listing, in fact, and we know that as an institution, I think at 10,000, 12,000 crore, we are not actually, as a bank, we are not trying to get this. I think that's not the right things. Having done all these things, my sense is we will certainly, as a broker, as an institution, we have started this, reaching out to more and more people with our financial inclusion products, right from ALT product and the missing middle part, where we are able to offer 1 to 10 type of loans in various buckets in fact. That remain our time, going to the sector area, going to area where people have not gone there. But at the same time, looking at the other part also. And that's why we will see a M&A type of things also emerging in the next 2 years' time. And actually, we also see a balance sheet because market expects that to happen. Market also expects that to have a large secured portfolio book. If it's only 5 months, then things are different. Actually, sir, if you look at hindsight, had this been, today what is happening, that our next level is universal bank. Everyone is being told from A to B, and the path is from small finance bank to universal bank. We can still think of a scenario where universal banks can be a small finance bank can be a large small finance bank. They need not look towards the universal bank, in fact. But the regulations, the way regulations are today, in fact, I don't use anything by becoming universal bank. And I get all the benefits. In fact, there is nothing on the negative side. I become more universal bank, and a bad debt comes down like capitalistic basis requirement comes down like 25 lakh limit goes away. There are a lot of other benefits also come into have become universal bank. So I think it becomes natural progress and impact. We have seen some of the other places, financial inclusion can be a large bank and it's a parallel bank. It's like going for a degree. BCom के बाद can't become BSc. It is having that way in fact. So BCom can already become M.Com, BSc can already become MSc. Here what happens is whether BCom, M.Com, BA, next level is MBA in fact. So that is the path we have got so far. And because of that, all will try to become universal bank, all will try to large value bank. At the same time, because our core remains financial inclusion, we will do that part. That is how we get our aspiration of our next 3, 5, 10 years time.
Mr. Glenn, as a watcher of this ecosystem, outside is not inside. What do you say this?
I think what Govind says is possible. The opportunity is only increasing. So look at Bajaj Finance, it's an NBFC, it's quite large. You can do everything except today's Bajaj Finance large ticket loans, which cannot do by the SFB. But for that, so I can see the peak of that kind of thing. Maybe you have already been at a level. So I think nowadays it's possible. It's definitely possible for to grow and you can call universal finance bank or universal bank or you can run anything, but I think state is not the constraint. The state of definitely is either populist state. And I think the growth of GDP, which is enormous highway is going to be, I don't see anything that's there. Looks at SMEs, potential, without having any solution, except this view, side of probably that only constraints, only the greater, we can add as a possibility. But I think, I don't see anything that
Thank you. Before I come to Rupali, just one question to you. You did mention that once you become a universal bank, you don't have to 75% bank comes down to now, I'm asking this question to you because as a founder, okay, you came in with the world mortgage, right? And then you see that you're getting into an ecosystem where some of the responsibilities are no more regulatorily ordained, okay? And then you are registered in equity, then you would have interest pressures, wanting you to go to different areas with costing as a player or so how do you see as a long term that this move to become a universal market, okay? Which could result in some of the objectives. We might still try, I'm not saying, but some of those objectives we not required to be met. How do you feel?
So, sir, I think the DNA of the institution, because of the way it was built, it is that we'll keep doing those things. So it's not that I'm going away from those things, from, like I mentioned, microfinance, affordable housing, or we are talking missing middle. In fact, we are about to launch our micro lab product where we are able to give 3 lakh, 5 lakh, 7 lakh type of products. So I think the product focus and the geography focus will always remain there. What I'm only trying to say that in case, there is nothing, there is no negative in becoming universal bank. We get all positives only. If you see, normally there are pros and cons. So there is no cons in this case. I mean, the way it has been done today. That's why I'm suggesting the way also Uday mentioned. We can also look at a class of small finance bank who are not trying to become universal bank. But there is a different regime of small finance banks, and they will continue to focus through the regulation also. So because of our DNA is like that, we keep doing that part, and that is what we understand. That is what we know best also. That's also an important part. I don't know how to large ticket loans today, but how to small ticket loans, we are best placed to do that part. How to operate the area of the geography. I think Bombay line is easy to operate from that angle, but how to go to Mahu and Ajamgarh of the world and go work the area of that place. We know that best. So I think we are not going to skip from that, we are not give up that part. Certainly whatever is small finance bank, universal bank or something, any other non-player, we will do that part for sure.
Well,
yeah, sir, I'll take your question of becoming big first and becoming big. As you said, big has a sort of this different, big has different connotation for different people. Small finance banks were given a license for financial after being there for 6-7 years now, still the informal financial institutions are taking catering to the 80% of the bank loans. We still only could get all the banks put together 15 to 20% only. So if at all we would like to grow big, we can then divide territory, we can give have proper product case with us so that ultimately that 15-20% becomes 30 to 40% or 50% of the customers they sort of we cater to their requirements like their every life cycle needs and go big in the balance sheet with that. I think instead of becoming just an individual bank, like as I told you earlier, that if everyone dreams to become only universal banks, then what will happen to the financial inclusion space? Whether everyone will become, they will take a banking license, they will do the financial inclusion, they will keep the financial inclusion space for a few years, then they will simply grow to become a viable universal bank. Then ultimately, what will happen to the focus of the financial inclusion is in India. So ultimately, there we feel it has to be a big successful SME is much better than becoming sort of less converting yourself or trying to convert yourself into a universal bank all of a sudden. For that, once your target of financial inclusion is completed, and the way I say that once you start financing almost every household in your territory or in your area of operation, then maybe you can think of becoming sort of going out of that sort of small finance bank category. That's how we feel. Because we have seen, especially in Northeast, a lot of informal organizations like the Honsois, the Maruks in Manipur, Honsois in Assam, they are doing like almost all the loan services, the savings and other product services are being done by them mostly. So we have not been able to take them out of the system for a working till now. So until and unless we have been able to do it, I think we still have to achieve quite a lot in this segment itself. That's how I think that you should be a better and successful SME.
I think I'll pass to Idris, then back to you. Yeah.
I think a lot has been said about the advantages, obviously all these advantages which we have becoming a universal bank will reduce the cost to the bank, and hopefully that will manifest itself in financial inclusion by giving a more competitive loan rate. But I'll give you I'll just add to something that we have not discussed. It's an elephant in the room. The name Small Finance Bank. The moment you go and meet a depositor and say you're a small finance bank, even today they ask you, what does that mean? Why do you have that name, Small Finance Bank? Are you a scheduled bank? So, although we are now 6-7 years old, the name Small Finance Bank immediately for a depositor means something different. So, as I said earlier, some small finance banks are bigger than some of the private banks. But still, the moment you have Small Finance Bank against your name, there is a premium that you have to pay for deposits. If I can reduce that deposit cost and also reduce the cost of operation by the other things that the universal bank gets, I can pass that on to some of that can be passed on to my customer, my borrowing customer. Therefore, the loan rates come down. And that is real financial inclusion, where I can pass the benefit on to my customers. So, anything that can help financial inclusion should be considered. And that's all what I wanted to add to that, because the name is an important part. We are a scheduled bank like every other bank, a private bank or PSU. So, but to the customer, they are not going to get into those details and read on internet what is the difference between this bank, that bank. They all see this and they say there's something different about small finance. And I think that is something that we have to keep in mind when looking at the next stage of the financial inclusion spectrum.
I want to focus on as an industry again. We want to push the small finance apps that are invested in, which are relatively larger. We want to push them to become that what we are interested in, what we are happy for them to grow as.
So I would perhaps rephrase that a little bit and put substance over form first. Kind of reiterate what Mr. said. As long as you're uniquely relevant to your customer, that's what the shareholder as an investor, that's the starting point. The moment you're losing relevance to the customer, you're trying to copy some other bank and letting go of your own strengths. That is a challenge. To me, the actual function of what license you hold is perhaps secondary to that core business that you're doing and how you build the organization. Having said that, if universal bank license provides more flexibility, it gives a better sense to the customer that he can deal with his activities as a bank, as well as what we also found is to some extent make it easier for the broader, let's say, public market or public investors, because they've always had banks and NBFCs as two categories in lending and financial services. Unless any of these banks become too big, no one wants to spend enough mind space to try to make sense of it. So it helps on those aspects because it's an identified form for license, but I think the starting point has to be customers that you're serving, the business that you build, are you able to do that? Therefore, are you relevant?
All agree that the current scheme of things as government produced certainly your is what is it that an SFB wants to become a universal bank apart from that? What are the 2-3 things that what capabilities we should build beyond what is required from the SFB? We will support the regulators and those freedom that universal banks.
My sense is, the way initially, obviously, for 2-3 years, there was a very close hand holding by the Reserve Bank of India, and I think they were treating us like bacha also. I think I'll accept that part. But if you look at last 3-4 years' time, You take on any of the parameters. I mean, obviously size is also important. If size is 40 lakh crore and there is a size of 20,000 crore, I mean, obviously there is a difference. But from that, from the compliance for the governance angle, from technology angle, from customer experience angle, I think SMEs are not lower than any of the universal banks today. And as I mentioned about deposits, in fact, so deposits is a real different type of challenge. In fact, deposits, you have to actually compete with the best of the banks in this country. Go to any of the SMEs, they can feel their products, services, technology, experience will not be less than any of the established private sector banks. So my sense is, but size is obviously different. I mean, we may be 20,000 crore, 30,000 crore, and they may be 20 lakh crore, 50 lakh crore. That's a different case. But whatever in terms of business, in terms of customer experience, in terms of market experience, and in terms of the governance part, the regulatory, and the controls part, that's also really important. I think we have done. We are at par with any of the universal banks today, and that is my fair assessment, not because of any other entity. The way I have closely looked at this part. So what is also happening today, for our mainstream bank requirement for libraries, we are getting all the people from the universal banks only. These are not coming from SME space, because we don't have SME space, we don't have those people. So that is only coming from ICICI Bank, State Bank of India, or HDFC Bank. So I think in all aspects, if you compare, I think whatever they have done within this space, they are at par with any of the universal banks in terms of all the aspects. Only one thing that I think about, with RBI also, the case of frauds are, I think, the case of SME are a little higher, but because of that is issue of geography and products impact. If you have that space where you're lending 20,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees, it's all those issues keep happening in fact. And it is largely, what we say, doorstep service to the customer who is taking a 15,000 rupees loan or 20,000 rupees loan. So those cases, I think especially when COVID things happen, the fraud cases do occur in terms of number terms, not value terms, in number terms are larger. Otherwise, you look at any of the parameters and as Indira mentioned, I think if you are any small bank, small banks, all banks per se, we must better place in all aspects. We government, we compliance, we regulatory controls, we audit, we technology,
just again. One is that, I request the question to ask. This is that, do you think an SME, not you may bank, ACSS will bank, integrate, not integrate, but as an ecosystem, is there some kind of a leapfrogging that an SME has to do to get to become a user bank? Or is it just one step forward, just a license? What is it?
I think this is the question we keep asking ourselves as to what is the next step. RBI said you have to be a good bank, SFB for 5 years, and then what happens? So I think in the SFB Association, we have been asking ourselves, what is that qualification that you have to go through to get to the next stage? There is no answer because nobody has crossed the Rubicon or nobody has made the application yet. So it is still a gray area. But each one of us may have our own opinions on what qualifies us to become a universal bank. To me, I think whatever we are doing, if we are doing it in the right way, the reviews done by RBI confirms that we are able to meet all those requirements and meet the benchmarks. That is the first step. And perhaps a little bit more diversified portfolio is something that is on the asset side is something that is needed. But other than that, I think if you compare us with these smaller private banks, we are doing, as Govind said, we are doing all that they are doing and perhaps even more. And digitally, I think most of the SFBs are perhaps 1 or 2 steps ahead of them. So I think it's difficult at this stage to find out what the qualifications are. And I think this is something that we would like also RBI to come forward and give us some sort of description as to what is required to make the next step. Otherwise, it's a black box with people trying to imagine what is in it.
A lot of referred they also mentioned in the private conversation that the word small being required to be attached to the name. Is that everything words are happening? Okay. Is that some of you said? Is there a way to solve that problem? Is the solution to that universal bank loan. Number two, again, I think, really for what you said, is there an intermediate arrangement, which is that I am the balance sheet size is that of a balance sheet composition is that of a small finance bank, but you can work like this. So what are you doing?
So my sense is this second option, we can have some normalization in between, because my sense is arguably very, very choosy on the universal banking license. That looks, that again my assessment, because whenever we come in 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, we get a one license. So whatever we do, I think all getting universal license in the next 3, 4, 5 years will be difficult. So there may be, BSc and NSC, there may be a different way of looking at this thing. But I also want to make one more thing. I think Oday also mentioned, Dira also mentioned. Small was a big issue. The small is currently it is smaller issue than what it was 7 years back. For two reasons, one, 6 are not now listed. So the moment you get listed, I think people see that there are small finance banks, they are created on the London Stock Exchange BSc. So that also makes a big difference. And also on the bottom what there is commentary from small finance bank, even the investor already now knows that part. So the challenge is not the way it was, but still remains a challenge. My sense is universal bank in bulk may be difficult for the Reserve Bank of India also, giving 8 and at one go, because almost all may be applying for it to RBI opens that we don't know. So there may be some way to handle that part.
Though I said small lending issue, but when you take microfinance 20 years back, and microfinance is area for 15 crore rupees 20 years back. So that and today is different. Microfinance, I think nobody has a problem. Micro is accepted as one form of financial inclusion or a lending format. It also gives the same microfinance sector offshore is I think small may not be an issue. Even the regulator treats equally. For example, insurance, what we call it is common for the reserve bank. They up to 5 lakh rupees, irrespective of which bank it is. It is insured. So to that extent, there is no problem. I think the more about the customer loyalty, more about the financial performance, more about the strength of the institution, definitely the customer or the potential investor, potential depositor, just because of name, they will desist and go away, may not be the right there is a difference between 7 years back today. I think another couple of years ago, I think nobody will accept this policy. That is what it is.
Started with small finance bank, raising deposits and getting government business was actually because small in a word small comes with a handicap. The moment you are in a market, the other sort of bigger players, established players, immediately sort of utilize that as your disadvantage. That this is a new element in the market. It's not city old, not listed. So many things you can speak against the organization the moment you say it's a small finance bank. So we also have to break the barrier. And at the same time, we personally feel that the moment RCI has given birth to this segment of organizations, the development of awareness amongst the other stakeholders, the other market players, there was something like, because they are the people who have been using it as a disadvantage or as against these new organizations. Maybe they thought that these people have a strength of the grassroots connect. So the moment they get the bigger businesses or the deposit or the government businesses also, they will surplus some business. Maybe that idea they had started sort of negative campaigning and also that is very true, whatever Vinay said and whatever it was sir is saying. Yes, we also have plan to it. But at the same time, sir, there is a segment which is still not dealt in the banks. Simply having a bank account doesn't mean financial inclusion. So the parameter of financial inclusion also has to change somewhere, adjustment has to change somewhere, where not only the bank account, but also the overall service to the community has to come in as the upstream. Otherwise, it should always remain that we know this with the people who deal with the small finance, with the financial inclusion laws related with the different industry and the other sort of marketplace.
So, I'll put this question this way. You have the choice of becoming a university, which may take 10 years. RBS is your case, right? RBS is, I'm giving two options. One, I will allow you to remove the name small from your
हिलेगा पूरा हिल रहा है
bank's name, small from your bank's
अभी
name,
दूसरा कैमरा भी
but
आएगा
you are not eligible to
कैमरे
apply
आएंगे
for
यहाँ
universal bank license. Okay? You are eligible to apply for a bank license.
4 बजे के सेशन
Whether
में
you
सारे
get
कैमरे
or not, get or not.
4 बजे के सेशन में मल्टी चलेगा कैमरा
So
भी
given
नहीं
this choice,
फिर हटाओगे कैसे
I,
आप
I was not expecting something like this. I think it's a good question. I think it's a good question. As Govind said, you go from BSc to MSc to PhD of the graduation. So this is, if you can remove the name, of SFB, and also make a few changes. I'll give you a simple example like co-lending. SFB is not allowed to do co-lending. If I want to diversify my portfolio, co-lending is the way to do it. I will team up with somebody who is an expert. RBI can put a limit. They can say, okay, you do co-lending for 24 months or 36. Then you have to stop that after that. Fair enough. We learn the business. We work with somebody who is an expert. We build a portfolio, and then we go. So some few of those things that can be adjusted. Happy to continue being a small finance bank, or rather being a bank or small finance, but that be removed, and competing with the medium and small private banks. Really, then our competition changes. And then RBI can look at us and say, okay, these guys can now become a universal bank because they have proved themselves. I think that is the graduation. If you can do it that way, in my personal view, that's the right step.
Yeah, both points in that. Indira mentioned that. I think this would be a good way to look at these banks as a varied definition in a sense, specialized banks. And the way you mentioned, we can still continue. We need not be able to sometimes we need something
यहाँ
else.
का लगा नहीं ना
We can always look at that part. What is more important, I think Uday also mentioned about that part. I think the review or there should be review effectiveness after every 3 years or 5 years. Now it has 5 years have it grown. Now it's only 7 years. So the review effectiveness and it can be on a regular basis. After 3 years or after 5 years. And certain things, when RBI decides not to say co-lending part, there are reasons for that. And also we are aware of this. When NBFC MFI identify us non-priority, but by priority. Those things are done, I think we keep reviewing on a regular basis. And there are certain threshold, for example, 25 threshold. Plus 8 years back, or 8 years back. 8 years back, in fact. So I think we can keep reviewing all these things on a regular basis, 3 or 5 years. But we have to be specialized back.
I mean, you already answered this in some of the content, but I thought I want to focus. So if a small finance bank has to pitch to
मेरा
you
है
for
शॉट
more investment,
मेरे शॉट में तो है
what are the things that you want to give?
अरे उसने सिंगल कॉर्ड रखा है ना
So first I would reiterate what I said earlier. You are not one of the many players that are operating in a particular segment. So you obviously
मेरे
need
फ्रेंड में जो
to
राइट
articulate what is your proposition. Second, which perhaps is more of a wish list, but all areas of financial services we find holding on to your field force high attrition being a challenge. If someone, because it's a bank, you have an advantage over NBFCs in terms of positioning to a certain extent when it comes to staff. We are able to now on the solution
कोई है ही नहीं तो यहाँ भी तो नहीं सुनाई दे रहा है।
And third, I think would just be what I said earlier in terms of continuing to show the kind of resilience and ability to innovate the banks have shown over the last 6-7 years. I think if that is the trend that is continuing, then that's good enough for an
यहाँ तो
investor.
सुनाई दे
So saying
यहाँ
that
तो
was the returns for investors in the banks who are looking in the early stages and kind of move it right across and not just
Right, so last question before we go to do you think there is need or scope for mergers or do you think there's consolidation feasible, possible, necessary? That's it.
So I think it's, sir, I think there may not be a specific strategy or specific thought process about it. I think this is naturally this happens, in fact. We will see some M&A certainly happen, consolidation does happen, in fact. There is its own advantages and people will do it at the right time because of, for multiple reasons. So my sense is there may not be a thought process that whether there should be or should not be, because there is a space for a small institution with 10,000 to 20,000 crore balance sheet, and there is space for a 2 lakh crore balance sheet and institution also. So it is not specific that why it should happen. We are sure that whether it should happen or not. It depends upon the particular factors. But as I mentioned, my sense is that we will see, we have seen in 19, we have year 2000, we have multiple banks, multiple mergers happen, and we will finish our consolidation. I think that's a very natural process for any financial services sector. That will happen here also. The reasons could be multiple. Sometimes the promoters have different thought process. Sometimes people are doing very good. Sometimes people are not doing good. Sometimes people want to diversify. All these things are there. But certainly there will be M&As in this case also.
Sir, there's enough scope for financial institutions or the banks to merge together. There are different stakeholders who can complement each other properly. I think that way RBI should be open enough to give those merger sort of approvals so that ultimately you serve the public good. That's what should be actually. And I feel that there's enough scope for that. The environment is changed. Now we should actually look away with an open eye.
You want to answer that before you shut off?
I think that's a good question. I think as an industry matures, there should be options available to integrate, to merge within the group itself, so within two SFBs should happen. But more so, there should be opportunities for inorganic growth. If RBI is looking to us to diversify our portfolio, and we are looking to grow our secured portfolio, it's possible that we may want to do that inorganically and acquire a company which is in affordable housing or MSME. Because there are two options to grow the secured portfolio. So that is something that should be on the table and should be seen as a way to achieve the objectives. So I think it is something that needs to be considered positively.
I think I want to stop the panel discussion here. Happy for questions to the panelists, right? Right.
ओपन कर खोल दो फ्रेंड ये रहा ना सामने पूछो मेरे सामने खोलूंगा तो पूरा मिरर बन जाएगा
So, good evening to all of you, sir. I am Oscar Chakravarti, GM from Canara Bank, head office Bangalore, overseeing financial inclusion and bank aspects. So, these guidelines becoming big, small banks, very good, sir. The way in which you reacted over everything. But at the same time, don't you feel that, sir, Indian financial system going forward is becoming too cluttered into the presence of so many national banks, scheduled banks, small finance banks, NGOs, microfinance institutions, and other digital financial apps coming in the market? That is my first question, sir. Second one, what is that? Because small finance banks are there, is there anything that you are having a takeover policy norms with your banks regarding other banks? When you want to grow big, there are two ways. One is financing new clients, bringing new customers into the fold, existing customers enhancement of facilities, and takeover from other banks. So these are three avenues. Any such mechanism, small finance banks, takeover of loans, is there, sir? And going forward, when you are becoming universally big bank, what is your robust credit risk assessment management system, sir?
Right? Okay, I'll partly answer the first question. I think I believe that India is a country with a population which has extreme diversity, not in terms of age, culture, etc., but even in terms of credit needs. Okay, and they therefore have different types of. They need therefore lenders with different types of credit appetite as well, risk appetite as well. So I think in a country as large as India, I don't see that the number of institutions we have is too large yet. Number one. And as I said, if it becomes too large, the only way things will settle down is through consolidation. Those that are relatively not able to sustain will go to somebody else, or somebody which has higher capacity to take over somebody else. So I think we should leave the market system too. So entry there is a barrier. Okay, exit will happen because of market forces. And so long as today you don't see, barring a case or two, a bank failing because of inadequacy of opportunities. They have failed because they have not managed their credit. Okay, so if you ask me, opportunity wise, there is a lot more to be explored, and therefore I think multiple types of institutions, NBFCs, NGOs, MFIs, small finance banks, community banks, maybe a few other types of banks think of are required in the Indian context to be able to lend this.
Yeah, true, sir. In fact, as you mentioned, even in any other place, see, sometimes you also feel that, you go to Bombay and Delhi because you are finding 10 banks in East Street, in fact. But you just go to the interior of the country, in fact. You are from Karnataka, you must have seen there also, you come to Uttar Pradesh, Bihar. In the interior, there are many places, there are a lot of places in UP itself. There are not even an MFI are there, in fact. So I think there is a lot of scope and a lot of such institutions, as sir mentioned, it's a diverse country. So there is a lot of people. You mentioned that SME, I think that is true for all. I think all will have a structure where people take, what we call BD, in fact, business transfers from other banks, that's also there. We also have our own existing customer where, they will top up loans, they will pay the additional loans, and there will be new customers also. I think that is a business model for all of us. Be it microfinance or be it small finance bank, and be it for universal banks. That means they are with all of us. And as far as you mentioned about the credit, whether our controls are adequate or controls are not there adequate, I think that is what we have done in the last 7 years' time. The controls part, and that is what RBI is looking at. Someone just mentioned that the requirement for SMEs and for universal bank are at par. If you look at SLR, CLR, LCR, the type of technology requirement, the type of cyber security requirements, all are at par with any of the universal bank. Today, what is differentiating is that we normally compared to a smaller ticket. We get 200 crore loan, 300 crore loan. We may not be able to handle that part. Those are not the aspirations also. Whatever products we are doing today, MSME, affordable housing, small deals, the small ticket loans, you can see people are doing business loans that are being done in microfinance. I think we have got adequate controls in terms of credit risk, and that is adequate. Even universal bank has the same type of controls. If you look at these products, in fact, look at the products and channels, in fact, not look at the value-added code. So we have educated today also, and there should not be a problem if we are becoming universal bank tomorrow, as far as controls are concerned, as far as underwriting practices are concerned.
Hello. Yes, hi. This is Ramesh. I am an independent consultant. I've been working as an investment banking advisor for the last 10 years.
हाँ
One of the interesting things that
Nice.
I've seen in terms of it, see, this is a fascinating discussion. Small finance banks, new
वही के पास वही
is great. I see a parallel with
292
small and
में
medium enterprises where we've got investments to make them larger enterprises. One aspect of the business that seems very crucial is governance. Governance, having good independent directors, having ideas-driven organization. There's a lot of emphasis, at least in the commercial space, on that. How important do you feel that is? Are you getting good independent directors? Are you getting enough people to serve on the roads? Is there an incentive? Like all of you also said. Thank you.
Examples, in fact. So one is that we, as a Utkarsh Small Finance Bank, we have 70% holding by the holding company, that is called Utkarsh Core Industries Limited. And as per the articles, as per all the, they have the rights to put, directors on the bank board. But I tell you, with 70% holding also, there is no nominal director of the holding company in Utkarsh Bank. That's a big, of course, Rajat is one of the investors, so we can talk about this also. So that talks about the governance and the board level independence part. Second, most of our board members and especially the chairperson, they have been, I've got to them board calls in fact. I have never met them in life. Our current chairman is the MD of State Bank of India, retired State Bank of India. I met him the first time when I was approaching him to become chairman of this bank. So I mean, you can understand the type of governance we are talking about. So I think very high on governance. I think governance, my experience of last 3 decades is that it is not because of small bank, Chota Bank, Bada Bank, NBFC. It is the mindset, the way you operate, in fact, that's important. I have seen companies with 50 crore AUM, it is very strong on that. A company with 2 lakh crore doesn't mean that their governance is very strong. So it is the way you operate the institution, the way you run the operation, and that makes a big difference. And SME space per se, I think they are very strong in the governance part. That is my experience.
I got a question was whether you have constraints in getting good people. Whether the good people are coming to you easily.
Board members, independent board members, there is no issue at all getting with these people. No issue at all. Yeah. We have all the diversified and experienced bankers and coming from this specific domain, in fact, there is no issue at all.
Yeah, not too much to add. I think, like Govinda said, it's probably more about intent rather than what license you hold. And even with smaller NBFCs that we invest in, we always make sure to have independent directors on board. And on that front, I think the RBI also does a good job of having very close oversight on SMEs, especially all banks. You have a large number of independent directors on all the boards. The decision making is very independent. So I think both structurally and intent-wise, we managed to achieve the small finance banks that we work with. Ultimately, it comes down to the founders and the management, and then having that aspiration to build a well-run, board-governed institution, which I don't think there is any lack of